If you've ever published a book and you're like, where did it go? You got to remember that over 15 million books exist on Amazon. Today we're going to talk about how to increase discoverability, how to make your book not invisible anymore, and the most important thing I'm going to do over the shoulder, you're going to go behind the scenes with me and we're going to look at an actual book that someone emailed me. But the most important thing to think about when we are trying to revive a book or make it visible is the market demand. Now, the coolest thing is that we are publishing on the best platform for customers, right? 1.6 million books are sold every day. Isn't that incredible? And of that percent, like Amazon owns like 70% of the marketplace. So if you're going to publish, if you're going to self-publish, Amazon is the place to do it, okay? And they did a survey like 2 years ago for people who are consumers. And there's like 82% of consumers trust Amazon. So if you are looking to self-publish, Amazon is the place to do it. Before we dive in, I just want to talk about the things that we're going to cover. We're going to talk about market gap, okay? Everything in the world fills a supply and a demand. And so we're going to look at that today. So if you publish a book and you're like so excited about it, I love that for you. But we need to know, is there a customer base for it? And we're going to dive into that, what that looks like with this particular niche. And at the end of the video, throughout the video, in the description, you can actually sign up and give me not your keywords, but what are you interested in publishing? And I think we should make a series out of this because it would be very cool to see all these different niches that are in demand. I'm going to show you also in this video how we can niche down with some of the things that we talk about in self-publishing. So we are publishing in books, but books have a different category. Each book is, whether it's photography, whether it's children's books, whether it's horror or thrillers or whatever. I don't read any of those because I have a weak stomach. My empathy. I can't even watch America's Funniest Home Videos because it hurts my body. I digress. We're going to dive into that, and I just want you to remember that everything in the world, in marketing, everything that sells, there has to be a demand for it first. So dive in, subscribe so you don't miss any of these over-the-shoulder trainings, and let's go. All right, so I'm going to share my screen. Now that we've talked about the things that can hold our book back or make it invisible, let's strategize about how we can revive our book from the KDP dead, or let's resurrect it, let's bring it back, let's research it. So I got an email from my friend Krista. She runs a cruise called the Podcasters Cruise. We're going on a business cruise in October. And if you guys want to come, let me know. I'll drop a link. But that's not why I'm recording this video. I'm recording this because her mom wrote a book of her diary as a dancer in the 1930s. This was a passion project. And she is looking to increase the visibility about this and optimization. So I wanted to use this as an example so we can get ideas, because so many of you have asked about niching down, and being able to position your book for searchability and better reach, right? That's what she's looking for here, is searchability and greater reach. So what she is looking, she's willing to update the cover and the title, and she is willing to understand more about keyword research. So I think this is incredible. From the computer or ChatGPT, the internet, she has gotten some ideas of names. Okay, and we all know that ChatGPT is going to generate really fun things, but we need to actually validate keywords. So keywords to me are words that are in demand on Amazon. So I don't know that ChatGPT is always going to be the most optimal resource, right? And we're going to dive into my most optimal resource for this book. And she's done a great amount of research for this. The really neat thing here that we're going to look at is it's placed in 3 categories: theater, biography, memoirs, and actually all the way niche down to arts and photography, performing arts, theater, Broadway, and musical. Okay. So when we talk about niching down, here is the category: 1, books; 2, arts and photography; 3, performing arts; and 4, theater; and 5 Broadway and musicals. So it's niched down pretty well because it is going into one market at 3 levels, okay? Think of the movie Inception, how powerful it is when they like go so deep into dream within dream that they can change the conscious mind. So I always think about, am I niche down enough? But we also have to remember, is the topic we are publishing about in demand, okay? So she came up with some keyword loaded titles for this, and these are all really fun. The only thing we need to remember is that they came from ChatGPT, right? So let's actually go to the link and check out the book. Okay, so we are looking at the book, and this is actually really fun that it is an original photograph. The first things that come to my mind is we need a little bit stronger design because this was published in 2023, but typically Amazon's guidelines is that we have the actual title on the cover. Okay, you'll see that in the content, the guidelines. A lot of people go back and forth about this, and it's just a best practice to have that on there. I almost feel like maybe hiring a graphic designer. I have a friend that does book covers. Maybe even taking out the background and making it a little bit more modernized could be really fun. Or maybe pulling in eras from the 1920s to 40s. The first thing that comes to my mind is like Art Deco. Maybe that might be something that's attractive for this particular book. Okay. The only thing that I want to also talk about here is that this book was published just over a year ago, and it has reviews, right? And so when we talk about like, should I republish this book? We have to unpublish this and we have to start over with our reviews. And when we unpublish this book, because it's not, doesn't have the searchability, it still will show up on our pen name. Okay. So let's look. It still be attached here. And when you put the new one in there, it will still be attached. Okay. So we really want to figure out ways we can optimize without redoing the whole thing. And then also iterating on our knowledge so we can get better results moving forward. Okay. So let me talk about what you see on my screen here. I have a plugin. This is Helium 10, and it allows me to look up keywords that it's ranking for. And my favorite tool that I have here is BookBeam. This is everything that you see on the green. We can see that the BSR is 2,486,367. So this book sells probably once a year, maybe twice a year, depending on the month, okay? If we go to our BookBeam subscription, we're actually able to see the data. And I might need to update my thing here because I'm pushing on it. And not much is coming up. So the yellow line is the price of the book. It has always been $12.95. And it was published on June 13th. And then you can see it got its first sell and it moved the BSR. Okay. The really neat thing about this book that I want to point out is that the category dancer biography, I think, is a great place to publish. So when we talk about ways to make a book profitable, one of the number one ways is to find a category that has low competition. And I absolutely think that biographies, memoirs, dancers is low competition. One of the reasons that I say that is because I tell people to look for keywords that sell under 150,000. So this number here, right? If it's under 150,000, we know it's going to sell every single day. And one of my top selling books had the lowest BSR it's ever had is 1,000. And that's when I had my $11,000 month. Okay. So the neat thing about BookBeam, I can see that this book is ranking at 54,000. It is 1 month old and it is making $23 a day. Okay. So I can look at different things like that to see what's going on with this book. I can also look up additional books to see what keywords might do well. And that's what I kind of want to do. I want to see if there's anything self-published in the top 50 while I'm researching this on Amazon's page. And my page will populate and move around because I have a lot of different plugins. But let me just open up BookBeam so you get a good idea of why I love this keyword research tool. Okay, so as you know, I have been able to sell over multiple 6 figures by understanding keyword research. And the reason why I've been successful, I would credit part of that to this research tool, which is BookBeam. And you can see here, I'm writing a book about like having boundaries. And so I'm keeping track of these other books inside of here. But you can certainly do that when you are looking at things that you want to publish. It will keep it there for you. And there's a Chrome extension which plugs in, which we saw earlier in this video, that showed us the BSR, how much money it made, and when it was published. Okay. So my favorite aspect that I've been using every single day in BookBeam is the keyword research tool. And BookBeam is anywhere from $29 a month to $39. I have a coupon code for you to save 50% off a plan or 10% off a plan. And I think you get your first month free. So sometimes my clients will sign up for this for a month just to do keyword research. So we know that this is a book that's about dancing, right? And so as we type in dancing, we are seeing things that are coming up. And I'm going very slow so I can look at them. Okay. Because this book is a memoir, it's actually going to be a little bit more difficult to sell because people are not searching for that on a regular basis. Okay. Let's look at books about dancing. Okay. It looks like there's a demand for books about dancing for kids. Let's just look up books about dancing. And sometimes when I'm doing a screen recording, BookBeam is a little bit slow to pull up their data for this. Okay, let's see. There isn't anything there. Let's just click on this. Okay, so as you know, I have been able to sell over multiple six figures by understanding keyword research. And the reason why I've been successful, I would credit part of that to this research tool, which is BookBeam. And you can see here, I'm writing a book about like having boundaries. And so I'm keeping track of these other books inside of here. But you can certainly do that when you are looking at things that you want to publish. It will keep it there for you. And there's a Chrome extension which plugs in, which we saw earlier in this video, that showed us the BSR, how much money it made, and when it was published. Okay. So my favorite aspect that I've been using every single day in BookBeam is the keyword research tool. And BookBeam is anywhere from $29 a month to $39. I have a coupon code for you to save 50% off a plan or 10% off a plan. And I think you get your first month free. So sometimes my clients will sign up for this for a month just to do keyword research. So we know that this is a book that's about dancing, right? And so as we type in dancing, we are seeing things that are coming up. And I'm going very slow so I can look at them. Okay. Because this book is a memoir, it's actually going to be a little bit more difficult to sell because people are not searching for that on a regular basis. Okay. Let's look at books about dancing. Okay. It looks like there's a demand for books about dancing for kids. Let's just look up books about dancing. And sometimes when I'm doing a screen recording, BookBeam is a little bit slow to pull up their data for this. Okay, let's see. There isn't anything there. Let's just click on this.